Hi, I'm Atomicus from OWKings.com, and today I'll talk about Pharah on Lijiang Tower. Anything from team compositions to different engagement angles and whatnot. As of yet, Pharah works against certain compositions, primarily ones that don't have that many hit-scan heroes such as McCree, Widowmaker, and Soldier 76. Before we continue, make sure you check out the main guide for Pharah since I'll skip the basic stuff about her in this video. Starting off with the first part of the map, the night market has plenty of space for Pharah to use overall, which is great as long as they don't have some hit-scan heroes that benefit from this as well. Similar to Nepal, your first job here is to start spamming the enemy's choke point as soon as possible. Using your jump jet and concussive blast at the start of the round will help you accomplish that. Having a speed boost from Lucio can also help you a lot in this scenario. From here, the team fight can go two ways, either in the courtyard or on the point. Either way, you have a couple of ways to deal with this. You can either just fly above the courtyard and flank the enemy team, or you can go straight towards the point and hover above the point while supporting your team. Here you can also use your concussive blast to get some environmental kills. Basically, you have to position yourself accordingly to what the enemy team decides to do. Once you have the point under your control, there's several ways to hold it as Pharah. You can hold aggressively by sitting on the high ground here, which will allow you to scout what the enemy team is doing, but also keep you from harm and allow you to punish the enemy team if they decide to push through the choke points. If they push upstairs, you can just fly away, wait for them to push, then deal damage to their backline. Another way of holding is by sitting in one of the windows above the point. Here you can cover the main choke point and the high ground areas as well. From here you can react accordingly to what the enemy team wants to do. If they want to push towards the point from the right side, you can try to knock some of them off with a concussive blast. If they push through the courtyard, you can use the high ground to your advantage. If you need to wait for one of your teammates to respawn, then the passive way of holding until you regroup is by sitting in the back line behind the statue. You can use it as cover while still being able to spam the choke points. From here you can also fly towards the point after you regroup with your team. When you need to recapture the point, you should always go for the windows above the point or by going all the way to the right around the point. Depending on how your team wants to push, you can use either one of those paths to engage the enemy team. When it comes to using your barrage, the best places here are the choke points, either the ones in the courtyard or the ones that lead towards the point. Of course, if there are any heroes that have synergy with you, such as Zarya, Mei, and Reinhardt, then you should always try to combo your ultimates together. Moving on to the next part of the map, we have the Garden, which is another beneficial map towards Pharah, especially since it offers you higher chances of knocking people off the map. As the round starts, the first thing you should try to do here is use your jump jet in order for you to be in a position where you can knock some people off the bridge with your concussive blast. Ideally, you should use the tower as cover so that the enemy team can't see you, otherwise they usually won't walk on the bridge anymore. The timing on this tactic differs based on which team has a Lucio, since the speed boost can offer different outcomes for both teams. If you manage to knock some people off the map, then you have already gained a number advantage over the enemy team, and that should almost always give you a victory over the point. If the enemy team decides to push from the left instead, then you can position yourself towards the point so you can spam the choke point when they get near the point. From here you can either flank them or you can fight them from above the point as they push in. Remember that you can always use the tower for some cover when you're trying to flank the enemy team so that they don't spot you so easily. When you have the point under your control, you can hold near the bridge, next to the wall, and occasionally fly above it so you can scout what the enemy team is doing. Here you can also try to use your concussive blast to push some people off as they push in towards the point from either side. Make sure to always spam the enemy's choke point whenever they want to go through it, especially if they don't have a Reinhardt shield. Basically, keep the pressure on the enemy team and reposition yourself accordingly to how they want to push towards the point. For recapturing the point, you have a couple of ways that you can use. One is by going left side with your team and forcing your opponents to gather on the point, which will allow you to easily spam them or destroy their shield if they have any. From here, you can fly towards the point or flank around the tower and pick up any key targets from the backline. The other way of pushing is by going over the bridge, which will be harder if they have any hit-scan heroes, since you'll be exposed in the air with little to no cover. One way of dealing with this scenario is by flying over the roof instead and using that as cover so you can flank the enemy team and land behind them on their bridge. Remember that you can also use the windows near the point in order for you to escape or get to the point as quickly as possible if need be. You can use your barrage in the same manner as before, primarily near choke points. In this case, either near the bridge or around the point. If the situation allows it, you can hide aggressively near the primary choke point and wait for the enemy team to push in and then just unleash your barrage on them. Lastly, we have the third part of the map, which is Control Center. Now this side is quite different from the other two, primarily because the action is happening indoors most of the time. Because of this, there aren't that many options for Pharah on this map, but that doesn't mean that she cannot work out sometimes. So initially, you should try to get above the point as fast as possible, on the platform to the left. The first team fight will happen either in the main area towards the point, or on the left side in the white IT room. From here, the best way for the team to benefit from you is if they fight around the point. This way you can benefit from all of the space and also the platform if you need to take some cover from any hit-scan heroes. If they have any heroes on the balcony side, near the big health pack, you can try knocking them off the map with your concussive blast. So basically, the space around the point is your playground and you should stick to this area most of the time during team fights. Once you have the point under your control, you can hold passively on the balcony side so you can just spam the enemy team as they try to push towards the point. Once they get closer, you can start going towards the platform again and deal damage from there. The best way to aggressively hold on this map as Pharah is by sitting slightly ahead of the point near this pillar so you can spam the main choke point. This will allow you to retreat back to your playground and get in position on the platform if needed. If you have your barrage at the ready, you can hold even closer to the choke point and use it when the enemy team pushes through. Just be careful and have the team with you if you plan on doing this. There's not much space for you to work with here, but if things go south, best thing to do is go outside and retreat towards the balcony area if nobody is chasing you. When you need to recapture the point, there are 3 paths that you can use as Pharah. You can go through the main area and get to the platform and fight from there, though this will require a Reinhardt shield, otherwise you won't reach that platform most of the time. The second path that you can use is by flanking from the left side and getting to the platform above the point without being spotted by the enemy team. This will take longer, but it's usually safer. It can also be riskier as they might have someone holding the spot, so depending on who that is, you might be able to contest it or get completely denied. The usual heroes that you'll find here are Pharah, McCree, Soldier 76, D.Va, and Winston. You can try knocking them off the platform with your concussive blast, but you won't be able to do much against a D.Va or Winston in this place. The last path that you can use is the one outside, to the right, towards the balcony area. This area is also relatively safe and you have more space to use for flying. However, you might also find Soldier 76 or McCree holding around here. Again, you can try pushing the enemy off the map here with your concussive blast, or even push them off the balcony, which would make them lose the high ground advantage over the point. You also have the health pack here, which can help you out in case you need to contest this area from any enemies. So overall, depending on what composition they have, you can use either one of those paths to your advantage. In the end, you want yourself above the point and dealing damage from up here, while switching between the platform and balcony positions. In terms of your ulti, besides the aggressive spot near their spawn that I talked about earlier, you can use your barrage on the choke points around the point. Position yourself above doorways and surprise the enemy team as you see fit. Keep in mind that using your ulti on one key target is also fine, especially if it's a hit-scan hero that would contest you if left unchecked. Of course, if you are heavily contested by hit-scan heroes and you feel like you can't do anything anymore, then you should swap your hero to something else. Alright, this brings us to the end of this guide. Hopefully you have learned some new things about Pharah on Lijiang Tower, and I wish you a good one. Take care.